Thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2. It's a great day to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Let's jump right in. So, we have another former player of the Pittsburgh Steelers who comes out and says that Coach Tomlin had no direction for the Pittsburgh Steelers, for his position, for the team. There was no attention to detail whatsoever. And the crazy thing about what Josh Dobbs had to say, this is a fourth round pick. Josh Dobbs was a fourth round pick out of Tennessee. I'm almost positive. Bottom line, he's a fourth round pick. And you think when you draft a guy in the fourth round that you would have a plan for that player, that player would come to your team and he would know exactly what's going to be asked of him and what he needs to do to secure a job for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But of course, when Coach Tomlin is your coach, the simplest things, the attention to detail, it just seems like it's never there. And it's not just my opinion. How many opponents of the Pittsburgh Steelers have came out and said this about Coach Tomlin? Specifically the New England Patriots. You know, they're the Pittsburgh Steelers' biggest nemesis. Pretty much the entire offense, every wide receiver on the New England Patriots offense said that the Pittsburgh Steelers were so predictable on defense that they all knew they were going to have huge games against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the same thing with the offense. You know, why is it working right now with Aaron Rodgers? Why is it work? Why did it work with Big Ben? You know why it worked? Because they're elite quarterbacks. They have elite skill sets. And why is Coach Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers 3-1 right now? Because of Aaron Rodgers, an elite talent who can take control of the offense and demands excellence and demands accountability and demands perfection from the entire offense. That's why it's working right now. So when the Pittsburgh Steelers have to bring in a quarterback to develop, like a Will Howard, who, unless he over the summer becomes Aaron Rodgers or who takes this massive, huge jump in talent somehow, do you think it's going to work with Will Howard, with Coach Tomlin driving the ship, a quarterback that he must develop to get better? Do you think that's going to happen? That's why Coach Tomlin loves Aaron Rodgers, the Big Bens. He could put them in the driver's seat and say, hey, do what you got to do. I trust you. You can drive the ship. You don't really need my input. If Will Howard ever gets a chance to be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers and he doesn't do well, right away, everybody's just going to say, oh, he's not that good. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I don't think that the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin have the ability to develop a person like Will Howard. And Will Howard could go somewhere else, play for another team, and develop into a full-time starter. Josh Dobbs went on to say, no clue what I was being asked to do. Josh Dobbs recalls development issues with Steelers. Go figure. In an article by Ty Dunn of Go Long, diving deep into New England Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel and their development of quarterback Drake May, Dobbs, who's currently the backup to May, talked about how he's been with teams where he had no clue what he was being asked to do. Oh my God. Like he's a fourth round pick. Let it sink in your head. He's shown up for work and Mike Tomlin doesn't have a plan for him. So I've seen it both ways. I've shown up to work and I've had no clue what I was being asked to do. And I've been in a place where you have to come in as a quarterback and it's like, here's a game plan, here's a script. You're figuring out your reads and your footwork, and it's trial by error. There's no framework of what you're trying to get done as an offense. I've been there, I've done it. That's not enjoyable, Dobbs said. I want to know the why. I want to know why and how we're attacking them. You just want reasoning. As I said, I've seen the exact opposite of the coin. Dunn wrote that Dobbs was referencing his time backing up Roethlisberger with the Steelers, where Dunn said Dobbs felt left astray. As in Pittsburgh, when Dobbs backed up Ben Roethlisberger, he felt left astray. Lines got blurred. He had no clue what the timing, rhythm, and spacing of plays was supposed to be. By then, Roethlisberger had already been through the ringer and was doing his own thing. Dobbs could learn from watching, but also remembered asking himself all the time, is that right? Is that wrong? Listen, I love Big Ben, but that is the wrong player to watch when things have to be technique has to be perfect and flawless because Big Ben ad libs all the time. And this is exactly why it worked for Big Ben. It worked for Big Ben under Coach Tomlin because Ben is an elite talent. And if you have a guy that plays more conservative, that wants to do everything by the book and wants to be in a structured offense and wants his technique to be perfect, you need to develop that quarterback. Some guys cannot play like Big Ben. And obviously, Josh Dobbs was one of them. Can you imagine your quarterback wants to know? Josh Dobbs wanted to know, why are we attacking the defense like this? Like, why are we doing it like this? Which is a legitimate question. It gives you more insight how to prepare. And Coach Tomlin, Todd, listen, I don't want to hear it's the quarterback's coach. I don't want to hear it's the offensive coordinator. It's everything starts at the top with the head coach, with Coach Tomlin. Could you imagine going to work and week for 16 weeks, or you're there for 3 years, and every single week there's no game, they're not giving you any game plan, explaining to you anything. Like, that's Pop Warner. That's being on a bad high school team. Do you think that Art Rooney like ever reads these articles, just thinks to himself like, man, all these NFL players who usually don't come out and bash coaches or players in usually NFL players, they have this brotherhood, this camaraderie where they don't really destroy each other in the media, no matter how much of an idiot the player or coach is acting like. But we've seen multiple players come out and just rip Tomlin to shreds because he does the same thing, or he doesn't change, or he's not paying attention to detail. And the old excuse will be, well, Coach Tomlin's 3-1 with the Steelers right now. And that's because the Pittsburgh Steelers signed Aaron Rodgers. And if the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't sign Aaron Rodgers and they had to develop a quarterback, or they left Russell Wilson in, which was also a possibility, or hey, even Justin Fields. Justin Fields is 0-5 with the New York Jets. The Pittsburgh Steelers would probably be 0-4 right now without Aaron Rodgers right now. And I said this all along before Aaron Rodgers got signed. The team is going to go as well as Aaron Rodgers plays. And we're all seeing that right now play out before your eyes. If it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the ship would have been sunk in week 4, and we all know it. Tight end Jay Sternberger, who spent time with the Pittsburgh practice squad, said in 2023 that there was no why as to what the Steelers were doing. Going to Pittsburgh was harder to learn, he said, because I'm like, why are we doing this? What's the reasoning behind it? Oh, man. You know, when I read articles like this, or I read articles how Cam Hayward comes out and says, oh, the defense just wasn't paying attention to their assignments, or guys were thirsty. They just wanted to do what they wanted to do to make a play. And everybody's just doing whatever the F they want. It's effing sickening already. It's sickening. You're just being over emotional because you're trying to get clicks and you're doing hot takes, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not. No, I'm not doing that at all. I want to see the team win a Super Bowl. I want to see the team prosper. When you read articles like this tells you that the Pittsburgh Steelers are not a solid organization at all. This gives off AAU vibes, like a traveling high school basketball team or a football team type of coaching. And there's nothing professional at all about this type of coaching when you hear ex-players, ex-opponents of the Pittsburgh Steelers come out and say the things that they do about Coach Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tom Brady comes out and says he's beyond impressed with Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. Yeah, you know why? Because Tom knows that it's all Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is calling. Tom would know better than anybody that Coach Tomlin is the most predictable, undetailed coach in the entire NFL history at this point. Let's listen to what Tom had to say. Brady went on to say, beyond impressed. Brady said, Fox NFL Sunday, I think at that age, there's so many other factors that come into play about how to be a great quarterback. And we all want to talk about what happens in the offseason with him. There's some things there's a lot of narratives out there. It's a little different, but what we know about him on the field is he's a surgical passer. He's got a killer instinct. He's hyper competitive. And I think he's brought all those things to Pittsburgh. He's absolutely did that. Pittsburgh Steelers would be in so much trouble, right? The season would have been over if the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't sign Aaron Rodgers. The season would have been over week 1. After years of being bottom dwellers in red zone touchdown percentage, the Steelers are 8th so far this season, converting 69.2% of their opportunities into a touchdown. Yeah, and you know what? With that stat being said, the last game on 4th down, 4th and goal, instead of letting Aaron Rodgers throw the ball, we run it up the middle and get stopped for no gain. Give the ball back to the Minnesota Vikings. Hey, no big deal. Let's not pay attention to these stats or details. What else would you expect? Tom doesn't want to come out and say what he really wants to say. Well, Aaron's on the worst coach team in the NFL. So if the Pittsburgh Steelers are 3-1, that means that Aaron Rodgers is absolutely playing lights out. I'm just sick of it. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of being the laughing stock of the league. And we're just, you know what, we're playing well. And obviously we're first place in the division. I think we're going to win the division. And when you see how bad all the teams are, AFC, NFC, it just shows you these new rules where you can't practice no more two-a-days. We are seeing what Roger Goodell, how he's destroyed the NFL with this type of garbage play where you have this many bad teams where guys refuse to go on the field to play, or they come off the field. All these players, Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter Jr., tearing hamstrings every time they run 10 or 20 yards. Why is that? You know why that is? Because these players don't practice hard anymore. They don't practice their craft and profession hours out of the day. So you get sloppy, garbage, uninspired football. And that's what you're seeing around the league. And fine, yes, the Pittsburgh Steelers are benefiting from that because we are 3-1 and we sit at the top of the division. And I'll give Coach Tomlin credit for that, though. In the summertime at camp, we probably practice harder than anybody. So maybe that's why we're in the position that we're in compared to the rest of the other teams. So we all know those practices at Latrobe are very hard and demanding compared to the rest of the NFL. But the NFL as a whole, because of all these new rules from Roger Goodell, it's just garbage foot. It's just bad football. It's just bad. As bad as the halftime show that's going to be with Bad Bunny. Hey, we should all learn a second language for the halftime show that's coming up in the Super Bowl. I mean, don't want to venture too far off the topic, but hey, Roger, after all, this is America. I would love to hear my Super Bowl halftime show in English, but hey, no big deal. Just let that go up in flames too, like the rest of the NFL. Jerry Dulac compares Ramsey's injury to Porter's pretty good hamstring tear. Great. Jalen Ramsey basically is going to be Joey Porter Jr.'s injury, a pretty good hamstring tear, Dulac said via 102.5. WDVE's morning show with Randy Bauman. And whenever you have that injury to the hamstring, it's so tenuous, it's so easy to aggravate. They just want to be sure that doesn't happen. And that's why they're taking their time with Joey Porter. And it's going to be the same thing with Jalen Ramsey. But what's the real issue here? These were no contact injuries. Jalen Ramsey was running down the field. Joey Porter, non-contact injury. That's the strength and conditioning coach's fault. Listen to me and listen well, Pittsburgh Steelers. If the Pittsburgh Steelers hire Westside Barbell to be their strength conditioning coach or be a consultant for the team, I guarantee these soft tissue injuries go away. It's just absolutely ridiculous. It really is. This is what happens when you can only practice 2 hours a day. Joey Porter Jr. and Alex Highsmith say they're going to play against the Browns. I expect the Browns game to be a very competitive game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I thought a week or two ago that it was going to be an absolute lock that the Steelers were going to demolish them. But what I seen from Dylan Gabriel, I thought the Cleveland Browns actually looked pretty good in their defense. I think this game is going to go down to the wire and be closer than a lot of people think. But of course, I'm going to go with the black and gold and pick my Pittsburgh Steelers to win. And with that being said, thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2.